Okay. Okay, everybody, be normal, act natural. We're being filmed.
This is the Happy Meal.
Here's where the Happy Meals are made.
The Happy Meal.
Okay? Look at all these happy people. Okay, look at the smile on her face. I don't want to see people standing around. Put people to work, okay?
I am trying to work.
Yeah, right on the left, where that car is coming out, or that white truck just came out. Where do you want to work?
Cashier. Yeah.
Cashier? You mean with the money? This is McDonald's, okay? You want to deal hamburgers? No? If you want to know where all the money is, it's right here. And you have it, you're seeing it. What to say, how to act. The customers are in your restaurant with a certain expectation of the quality of food, the quality of service, the quality of the experience. Okay.
What defines your restaurants compared to other?
And it's going to be, the classic customer service. Come on in. Thank you. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Thanks for coming. Oh, three more coming in. What's your favorite thing to eat at McDonald's? A hamburger. Happy Meal. Yes? Is that you?
He always does. Here, you want to go pick it up?
Yeah, come on. I'll help you.
Yeah, you want to take it?
Here, take this. You have to give this to him. Okay. You'll take the food. I'll take the drinks. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me be careful. I don't want to drop these straws. Okay. Well, it looks like you know what you're doing, and I don't. Okay, Mom. Yeah, you take the straws. There. That's better.
The couch.
Yeah, I noticed. Thanks for coming in. You take care. Okay, you too.
All right, mic check. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I met Ron in 1978, I believe it was. We met at McGraw-Hill.
I remember when I met Ron Smith in one of our local stores. He was getting a piece of art frame. Ron Smith is one of the most genuine people that I've ever met because he always leads with his heart.
Well, I think my first impression of Ron was that here is a dapper fellow. He's always dressed to the nines, very sophisticated, very elegant looking. But also, he doesn't have this big sign up that says, "Don't talk to me, don't approach me." He's very approachable, I think.
As a colleague, Ron is dynamic. He's driven. He works collaboratively. I mean, he can have an idea and he can be pretty determined about what he thinks, but if you have a better idea, I've known him to be the type of person that is always willing to listen.
And when you start talking to Ron Smith, what you find out about him is that he's very interested in you. He wants to know what your story is, and then he'll share part of his story. Times where he's kind of hit a fork in the road and he could have gone this way, he could have gone this way, and he loves talking about, why did I go this way? So it's really a give and take with Ron.
My name is Brooks Smith. I'm the son of Ron Smith. The way that my father was a mentor to me would mainly be his dedication. If you ever ask him anything, he'll put his full time into trying to make sure that he gives you a proper answer, or an answer that will solve whatever question that you have. And you know, he leads by example usually, and that's always something that's really respectable.
And he was looking at my art. We started a conversation, and it seemed as though we were just interested in what each other was doing. And I was checking on some art that I had gotten. He kept asking me more questions, not just for conversation, but because he was really interested. And he said, you know what? We ought to do lunch one of these days. I said, sure. And that was the beginning of meeting Ron Smith, the hero.
Stop talking so we could start. This is what you have. This is how you have to handle them, okay? Just tell it like it is.
What's the climate like during that time?
Oh.
What's going on in the world?
Oh, it was just war, you know, and I remember being in Putnam Catholic Academy and watching TV, and they're showing pictures of everybody in Tansanut. That's where Ronnie was, and every person I saw, that's my brother, you know, I saw that I saw him. But there was a horrifying story that I found out. He was a flight mechanic, and a person asked to switch with him as far as the timing on when to go out, and Ronnie did, and that person never came back. It was devastating for Ronnie. It really was, because I could have lost my brother. My mom was a nervous wreck. You know, when he went to Vietnam, you're talking about a mother that wrote a letter every single day to Ronnie. Every single day she wrote a letter. And then we sent tapes, the VHS tapes we would make, and family members and the siblings, we'd all talk to Ronnie and, you know, joke and whatnot. And we would mail that off to him.
It was really every day that I received a letter from my mother. You know, she was very upset, not with me, but the fact that I was in the war. That you know, in spite of it all, she you know, she supported me, and I think the way she supported my decision was the letter every day.
I was so scared. I just didn't want anything to happen to my brother. You know, of course his life was in danger, because that's what's on the news constantly. Every 10 minutes it was showing pictures of people getting shot up and people with their legs taken off and blown off, and oh, it was just horrible. And I was in school, so I guess I was having a hard time at that time.
I think she understood that I did what I felt I had to do. It was my patriotic duty to do that, not just for myself, but for my family, for my heritage, the generations before.
I know he wanted to be there, and he did a good job. He came back in one piece, that's right. That was important. I love you, Ronnie.
When the average ownership is, you know, single digits, when my expectation coming into this business was I would be happy owning, you know, 3, and you wind up with this. Well, the only thing you can do is keep doing your best.
What would you say the keys to success are?
Is believing in yourself and believing that hard work, positive hard work, contributes to positive results. The key is honesty. The key is doing what's right versus what is wrong, and believing in yourself. The key also is helping other people, not just the customer, but helping other people that you're influencing. Hello, how are you? Okay. We're taking pictures, so smile. There you go. Okay. I just want you to know, that nothing on that piece of paper says McDonald's.
Okay.
And the person who threw that was the competition. Because they saw this was being filmed. That blows. No. I've got it. Here, lift it up. Thank you.
I guess it's like the 30s, right? I know that they had a good life because the pictures that I did see, like Mom was dressed up really beautiful, you know, the beautiful dresses and the hair done so nicely. It was really nice. Dorothy Bowen is the one that introduced my dad and Mom. And they would hang out, they would go to different parties and whatnot, the Cotton Club, and that's how they met. My mom was from Trinidad. She had a very tough childhood. And she was a very caring individual and very thoughtful. And she would do anything for anyone. And what's important to her was her family, her children. That was top priority.
Describe to me your father's personality.
Oh my goodness. I have to smile because I miss him so much. He was a jokester and he was a lot of fun. He was very serious about his family. His children was his whole life. Dad worked for the airlines as a baggage man. He worked for the Board of Education, doing plans for the schools. He was a very hard worker. He worked 3 or 4 jobs because we were in private school. And that time it was very expensive. And not only was he a role model to Ronnie, but he was also his friend.
He would have been the best man at my wedding, not because he was my father, but because he was that close a friend. He was and probably still is my example.
I remember when Ronnie was older, they used to hang out together, you know, go bar hopping.
Frank, Ron's father, was very, I would say, very influential to Ron in a different way. From a male perspective, the father was really a lot of fun. Yes, I believe Ron's dad was as close to the type of dad that I wanted growing up as I had ever known.
Ronnie was, he was just a busy guy. That's all I can say, into a lot of different things. I remember him as an altar boy at St. Rita's in Long Island City. I was just like so proud of him. Look at him, he's up there in front of everyone, you know. Ronnie had his own enlarger and he would go into our little bathroom and make it dark and develop the pictures.
Back in those days, there was only one bathroom, and it was my dark room, okay? And you better not come in there while I'm developing, otherwise you'll spoil the whole thing, so.
He was just so into all that. So I thought he was going to be a big-time photographer or something back in the day. He was well-liked in school, and his jobs, you know, they depended on him. And Ronnie had a business called The Floor People. And that was doing floors, you know, hardwood floors and everything.
The flooring company was a project that he had taken on with a good friend of his.
I had the opportunity to start my own company. And it was my first adventure into self-employment. But it gave me that first entrepreneurial taste.
He knew how to deal with people. And that's important when you have a business. you know?
I met Ron in 1978, I believe it was. We met at McGraw-Hill. Basically, we were salesmen for the construction news department at the McGraw-Hill's headquarters in Los Angeles, where I reside. Ron moved there from New York, and he was picked up in New York by the company and transferred to Los Angeles, at which point we met. And because I was the native and we were the only two blacks in the office, to be perfectly honest, the boss felt it would be a good idea to pair us up.
During this period, America, and I'll speak for America, was looking to bring people of color, minorities, into their businesses because that was the news of the day.
We did. We got a new sales trainee. His name was Jeff. I volunteered the information that, my friend Ron also was a martial artist, because Ron was. I believe he was a black belt at the time, but he was quiet about it. He wasn't one to brag. So can you guys even spar, or is that unfair? So they actually gave the office a demonstration. We cleared an area, and it was just some simple moves of the hands and, all of that kind of stuff. Well, after they had actually gotten to the competition, the competitive aspect of the demonstration, you could tell who's tugging, which way they're tugging. Finally, Jeff throws Ron gets up, Ron throws Jeff, and as the finale, Ron actually flips Jeff over his shoulder, and Jeff hits the ground. And I don't think he was faking, but he was unconscious for a period of about,
I don't remember this,
3 or 4 minutes. Jeff, are you okay? Jeff, are you all right? He comes around eventually, and everyone acknowledges that Ron is truly a black belt. From that point on, I kind of gave Ron a wide berth because I never wanted to anger him and have him have to demonstrate to me. He came from a big business environment, from the big city, from New York City. So technically, it was very little that I could offer him. But Ron got an assignment at the Long Beach office, and they had their own office. So Ron got his own office. And he really was successful.
I didn't understand at the time how well I was sought after, but I was, based on how I spoke, how I presented myself. The first 8 years of schooling, I was the only African American, the only black in my class. Okay, in high school, I was maybe one of 2, maybe one of 3 in the 4 years. And, never really understood that because it was never really brought up when I was being raised back at home. And, but that had a lot to do with how and why I was accepted. Number one, by management, by the companies, and then by my peers.
So Ron is doing his thing. He's married now. He's got a wonderful wife, and they're trying to get their feet up under them while they create these careers.
We were quite successful in what we did, how we did it, and because we were very resourceful and very business-minded, of course, the end goal was to get into business for ourselves, which is what we did. We had spoken to someone who was a minority franchisee for McDonald's, and based on that conversation, we applied. And I don't think the ink was dry on the application, when the meeting was set up and we were made the offer. You better be. Have you taken a break already? No. Well, go ahead. Yes, go do what you need to do.
Once Ron's business turned toward, restaurants, then, things really began to change for him. He began to move from city to city a little bit more.
I mean, from when I can remember, I was about 2.5, 3 years old when we moved to Lake Havasu. It was a really small town, and I think one of the first memories I have is we were in the newspaper, because not only were we one of the only black families in there, I think there's only 2 black families there, but we were one of the only black families to own a business there. So they put us in the paper, and I don't really remember how I felt about it, but it was just a different feeling. Like, why are we so special? You know, especially during the beginning stages of the franchise. My brother and I spent all the time together because, you know, my parents, they had to focus on opening up the business, construction, running the business, training the employees. What I do remember is that they did everything themselves. Whatever it was, whether it was their accounting, all their books, just training, they were just a one-stop shop, and they did it all themselves. I remember they worked all the time. If I remember correctly, there wasn't too much opportunity to grow in Lake Havasu, so that's why we decided to relocate out to Las Vegas, because up-and-coming city. It was a big risk. Like, I remember just kind of like the feeling and the environment at the time was, this is make it or break it. Like, you know, if this doesn't work, we're gonna need a new plan. But we put everything into this new store out here in Vegas.
They came and opened their store on Horizon, College and Horizon, and we had the one on Anna 95. So we would talk about things, as we were the only two Black owner-operators here in Las Vegas, and we would make our plans and how we would, you know, be successful here in this co-op as the only two Black operators here in Las Vegas. And it worked, man. It really worked, you know. I, especially after my husband passed, the first year was very bumpy. And Ron was right there by my side. I've got to share this story with you. When I did the business plan, so the corporation was coming in, and it was a big table like this. So I got my little business plan in my hand. And so Ron goes, Eva, when you walk in the room, I want you to sit over there. I said, Ron, does it matter where I sit? He goes, yes, it does. He said, and this is what I want you to do. You look at me if you can't answer the question. And I got it. That business review went so well. He said, and when you finish with the business review, the one that said you can't do it, I want you to look her in the face and say, any questions? But he showed me how to be successful from day one with the business interview. And her response was, no, thank you very much. So that's the person that I'm talking about.
Is everything okay here?
Yes,
Okay, service and everything, fine? Agree? You like McDonald's? Thumbs up? Good, good. In the play place, the two little children there, get them something for me, okay, whether it's ice cream, see what they want.
Okay.
Okay, the two little ones.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So the business speaks for itself, you know, whether, you know, McGraw-Hill, McDonald's, or, you know, whatever it is. I think the public felt that if a company, this company, thought enough to bring me in to represent them, there's got to be something maybe different or acceptable or whatever. One of the things I've learned from that was, well, you know, how to incorporate your business, your work, you know, into your life. And if you like the work that you do, it's not really work, it's your life, you know. Started with one, or dedicated the 17th today, this morning. You know, that includes over 800 employees, you know, working for the, now it's, you know, it sounds like a lot, it sounds like, you know, it's very busy, but then again, you know, it goes back to managing managers, managing people. You know, the thing is that it's not about, as you're stepping up that ladder, it's no longer about the manual tasks that are involved in the business. It's about, you know, managing people and making sure that you have the right people for the right jobs at whatever capacity, whatever level, you know, that's needed.
I need that drive if I want to be successful. And I think that's the one thing that my brother and I took out of this, is that if you want to be successful, it's not going to be easy, and you have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears, and it's not over until it's over.
I see Ron the same now as I did, 40 years ago, but I realize that he has changed quite a bit. His responsibilities are so different now. And for me, as I say, I still see Ron just like the big brother that he was when we first met. Though I realize now he's got a lot of people that he's trying to help. This is what I know about Ron. This is what I think he told me his mother taught him, when he was just a small boy.
One of our programs is the Toe Tag Monologues. We do life skills programs, and at the time we were in the Juvenile Detention Center. In order to get in, you had to ring a bell, and then one of the guards had to bring you back to the unit that we were working in. I invited Ron out to see one of these workshops, and there was some miscommunication or something. Ron was actually out there an hour or an hour and a half waiting to get in. By the time he got in, I apologized so much, but he was just so humble. He's like, I'm just honored to be here. He came in, he watched the kids present, read their essays. And during the time, Ron had a chance to talk about a little bit of what he did. And the kids kept saying, hey, mister, we wish we can get a job. And would you hire us? And he looked them in the eyes with all sincerity. And he says, when you get out of here, if you come see me, I'll give you a job. Ron understood that kids just needed somebody to see past what it is they're wearing, look past the color of their skin, look past their situation, look into their heart and see possibility. And that's what he did for the kids. Some of the kids were crying, but all the kids had hope in their hearts because Ron gave it to them.
It didn't take me long after taking up the helm here at Ronald McDonald House to know who I could go to in times of need. Let's say we were a few scholarships short of being able to maybe provide a scholarship to all of the applicants. Well, Ron would be around the table and we'd be talking about, wouldn't it have been nice if we just had 11 more scholarships? And then, I remember Ron saying, you got it, I'm going to provide the $11,000 so that we can fund all of our 50 alumni scholarships in a given year.
This is the part where the relationship between Ron and I changed. My husband, on his deathbed, asked him, please take care of my wife. And he said to him, yes, I will. That is 20 years ago in May. And Ron, and this tells you what type of person Ron is. 20 years, he has not missed a beat. He has been by my side, and I have so much respect for him because he never, in the 20 years, wavered from the promise he made to my husband.
The likelihood of growing beyond 17 is greater only because someone can come to me looking to sell and they can request a higher price because they know I can afford, all right? And I would meet their price. Your level of confidence goes up, number one, in the beginning, when you get your first. It becomes more confident when you are offered the second and the third. So each time you are offered that additional restaurant, your confidence builds. I've done my best to be a part of the change in Las Vegas from a owner's point of view, from a resident point of view, from a business point of view. But I hope and pray that I have participated in the positive growth that has taken place, the success that has taken place, not to be responsible for it, but to be included as part of what has made, is making, and will continue to make Las Vegas successful.
But you've made bets in your life, and the biggest one is on your son.
Well, yeah, but it's not the same thing because, because I'm gonna win. Okay, I'm gonna, I'm cheating. I'm gonna, if I bet on myself, I'm gonna win. Get it?
I get it.
So if I were to ask you, Mr. Ed,
Sir?
So what do you think of the owner